What we do here is go back.
She wants to see the Royals, our hometown team.
Win.
She wants to see them win.
That's it.
all she cares about. She doesn't care about home runs.
No.
The score could be 1-0. It could be 10-9. Okay. She wants to see our team win. That's what the vast majority of casual fans want.
So, welcome back to the JNC Baseball Show. We're going to get right back into this. Tommy's got a legitimate rant, some type of beef with the majority of MLB that I can't wait to hear because it's hilarious. We tried to do it last week, but Tommy cursed too much and spilled a
We had to put him in timeout.
Yeah, he spilled a beer. It was crazy. So
that is a fucking lie.
it's a total.
I don't
it's
ever
honest
spill
truth.
beer.
It is the honest truth. He licked it up afterwards. Tommy, I need you to go off on the Hall of Fame. Go
I
ahead.
used a straw. The Hall of Fame is, in my humble estimation, not so humble, absolutely useless without the inclusion of the all-time hits leader, one Pete Rose. We're talking about 4,256 hits.
2000.
Yes, 2,000. Above the average major league player. So 4,256 hits, over almost 100 hits above number 2 all-time, permanently disincluded from the, quote, Hall of Fame. Is there anything more famous than Pete Rose and his hit streak, his total amount of hits? He is, without question, the greatest hitter that game has ever seen.
Barry Bonds might have the best eye, might have the most power, but the best contact hitter.
Yeah, he might be the best contact hitter. Actually, I think Ichiro might be a better contact hitter.
Ty
he might
Cobb's
be
a better
He might be the
contact
best
hitter.
all around, just hustle and get hits type hitter.
You don't earn the name Charlie Hustle without it.
Yeah,
And the fact is, regardless of anything that you want to say about him, the man belongs in the Hall of Fame.
he cheated.
Without question.
He cheated.
It's an
broke
interesting,
the rules.
that he did.
He
Cheated?
broke the rules. What's the definition of cheating, Jack?
Cheating is breaking the rules.
Breaking the rules. So he cheated.
breaking the
Cheating
law.
is gaining a competitive advantage.
He still broke the rules.
It is, yeah. Well, there you go. I mean, and there's no evidence to ever argue that Pete Rose threw any baseball games like the Black Sox, of 1919. No evidence of any of that. It's interesting to compare. What
They
he
also
did.
cheated, by the way.
Absolutely
Cheated.
Because it's interesting hearing a lot of Pete Rose. People who defend Pete Rose, where they stand on the. How do we contrast that with what happened during the steroid era? With Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens and things like that.
Those
which
guys
is worse?
didn't break the rules because they weren't rules at the time. Now,
Okay.
like I said earlier to you, the people that did break the rules and got suspended for it absolutely don't deserve to be in. A-Rod, no. Manny Ramirez, they shouldn't even be on the ballot. They willingly broke the rules.
And yet they will be on the ballot, which is ridiculous.
Manny's already on the ballot, got 24% this year.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous.
But he's on the ballot, a known cheater.
He's been suspended like 3 times.
Yeah, ridiculous.
He shouldn't
And
even. He shouldn't,
he'll never get to the Hall.
He's a good
Ever.
player. No, he probably might. He might.
But are we really to believe that a guy like Jeff
10,
Bagwell, for
15
instance,
years from now?
didn't do it?
He was
and
never.
yet-
He never was suspended for it.
Okay.
Okay, we're
But
innocent until
those-
proven guilty. And he
But
was never
those who are
proven
in
guilty.
the game will tell you. There are a lot of people in the game who will likely tell you
Yeah.
that it is unfair, that it's unjust that somebody like Jeff Bagwell would get in, or Ivan Rodriguez would get in, and somebody who actually did test positive would not get in. I do think that those who are tested positive should be reprimanded in some way. I mean, I'm certainly not even close to ready to for Manny Ramirez to get in, for example.
No.
I'm not even ready for Bonds or Clemens, who never
Definitely not ready
tested
for
positive.
Clemens.
to get in.
Clemens should never get in,
So
in my opinion.
yeah.
Dude, pitching, steroid for pitching is way different than it is for hitting. You still got to hit the ball. Pitching, you could see a drastic decline in Clemens' numbers until he got to Toronto. Was it Toronto?
Toronto.
Yeah. And then he started juicing, and you could see it, and he just became the best pitcher in baseball again.
Yeah.
And it was just like
37,
Yeah, like,
38-year-old
what the hell?
Roger
Like,
Clemens,
and that's the
throwing
difference.
97.
Yeah, that's
and-
the difference. Is he was on a natural decline, and you could see the difference.
We've gotten off the point. The fact is, there are currently colossal pieces of shit in the Hall of Fame.
I want names. Give me names.
Ty Cobb,
Okay. He's still really
possibly
Perfect example.
he's been called a sociopath.
good. Did he ever break any MLB guidelines or rules?
How about attempted murder?
Didn't break. Is that one of the rules?
That's
Is
a
one-
rule of society.
He did.
Yes.
Did he go to jail for that?
He did not go to jail for that.
Okay,
That
so
is-
then he was never convicted of it.
did Pete Rose go to jail for gambling?
I'm guessing the laws in the teens and 20s were a little bit different. Than,
Little bit
the
different.
laws
The-
now. But
Murder.
and
that
your latter
one's-
point is well taken.
That's I'm pretty confident that wasn't legal in the 20s. So doesn't really hold water. Your argument.
Okay, that's fine. It's more. It was more difficult to enforce then. But I will say, with all the gangs, running everything, and but
He's a noted racist, been accused of being a card-carrying member of the Ku Klux Klan, and yet not only a first ballot Hall of Famer in the first induction class of the Hall of Fame.
Hey, what you do off the field has nothing to do with baseball. It's what you do off the field has nothing to do with baseball.
Mhm.
Now, I don't condone all that stuff, nothing like that. I mean, I'm not a big Ty Cobb fan, and you know it. But what he does in his personal life is what he does in his personal life. But he never broke an MLB
Here's
rule.
the thing. He should be, because Ty Cobb was a great baseball player. He was just an asshole. But he should be in the Hall of Fame because on the
He is
baseball
in the Hall
field,
of Fame.
yeah. As a baseball player, there are very few even as good, or should even be mentioned in the same breath as Ty Cobb.
I mean, I like it, but I mean,
Maybe
I agree.
maybe 20 total baseball players in the history of the game that would be mentioned with Ty Cobb. And yes, piece of shit overall.
I agree that Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame, but I understand why he's not in the Hall of Fame.
I understand it, but you can't call it a Hall of Fame if the greatest hitter in the game isn't there. It's not the Hall of Ethics. It's the Baseball Hall of Fame.
The problem is, one other problem that I have is, why can't there be any write-in votes to the Hall of Fame? Why do we have to select among a list, a predetermined list? Why do we have to select among those names? Because I think there are a lot of names off that list who, I mean, how are we ever going to elect Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame if his name is not even on the ballot in a year?
And he's not even eligible anymore. He's past
not
the
even
eligibility.
eligible.
He is past the eligibility point.
And there are other players too.
Once he actually dies, he may very well wind up being posthumously admitted into the
He'll
Hall
get
of
it.
Fame.
Right. He'll
And
get
he
it.
should
Yeah, he'll
be.
get in eventually. Yeah.
It's bullshit that he won't see it.
Right.
It is kind of BS that the MLB is not, giving him his credit.
It is. And yes, he screwed up.
He admitted
Colossally.
to it, and he gave you the betting.
And
He gave
part
all
of
this
that is
stuff.
the admitting to it. I think part of that was for 20 years he denied ever gambling on baseball,
Okay.
and then you
Yeah, I
start
mean-
hearing inklings of if Pete ever just came out and said, "Hey, I bet I screwed up. I was wrong. I'm going to take the heat." All of a sudden, all of it goes away.
No,
Now
it got worse.
Now it's they just dumped on it. Like now lied for 20 years.
Yeah, all
Now
these people,
not
"Oh,
only
we're
were you gambling, but
ridiculous."
you're a ridiculous liar. You should never ever be enshrined
This is ridiculous. This is reprehensible behavior. This is out of nowhere.
out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. These idiots that covered baseball that could never do what he did. Now, I mean, some of these guys are
Nobody's
very
ever
good
done what
writers
he did.
for a long time.
Ever. It's not
but
even
they
close.
they've just stomped on him and basically just thrown him into the dirt and wrote him off. It's ridiculous. It shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But I think they're doing the same thing now with steroids. Do you think that the people with steroids are going to eventually get in the next few years?
Well, I think that the way that I view the Hall of Fame right now is we're making the bet. There is no optimal solution. Okay, there is no ideal solution for the Hall of Fame. We're making the best of a bad situation. What you're arguing, I think your argument seems to be, okay, those who have tested positive or admitted to it, or we have proof that they did PEDs,
They broke a rule.
HGH, then they should not be admitted.
No.
Those, for instance, those who were suspected of it but have never officially been implicated in
Or
anything.
did it when it wasn't a rule. Like McGuire did it. There was no rule
Well,
against
technically,
the
it
substance that he
was.
did.
There was a rule. It's just they didn't enforce it and they didn't test for
There
it.
was no rule of, you can't use this, andro at the time. There was no rule that you couldn't use that.
It was actually, and I'm sure somebody out there can do the digging, but there was actually a rule, and I think it was dated back to 1990, I want to say, where performance enhancing drugs were.
Yeah, but they need to give out a
banned from
list like they
baseball.
do now.
Not they didn't test for it, so technically.
Yeah, they
you
don't.
still
If they
could-
don't test for it, how
Obviously.
can you say that he did something illegal? Same with
Yeah.
Barry Bonds.
Yeah. So
It wasn't technically in the rules that he couldn't do that at the time. And that's the thing that makes me mad about all these people. Oh, well, they did it. I can't believe Bagwell got in. Everybody knows he did it. If you knew he did it, then say something.
and my biggest problem, because I think that
Nobody wants to say anything.
Then if you don't want to say
Because
anything, then do it yourself.
I think it was so widespread. Nobody wants to say anything.
Nobody
you
wanted
really
to be
wanted,
nobody.
can you imagine that list?
Yeah, nobody wanted to be the first guy through the wall.
I think it's going to take two or
The
three
first guy through the
prominent
wall is the
players.
one that gets hammered.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it's going to take 2 or 3 prominent players during that era to open up and admit to it. Not just say, yes, I did it, but they're going to need to be
couple people did.
specific. Okay, yeah, but we're going to need to see more players do it. We're going to need to see more players. And they don't have to be sorry for it. They don't even have to shed a tear. But I tell you what, that's one of my biggest apprehensions about admitting some of these guys into the Hall of Fame is the fact that they haven't admitted to it. The fact that they're so
Maybe they're not
They
admitting
conceal
to
it.
it because they didn't do it.
So here's a
and
question.
now you're drawing a hard line that
But
doesn't
here's another
need
question,
to be
because
drawn.
people that have admitted to it have also been taken pretty rough. They've been taking it in the shins pretty bad. Look at Andy Pettitte. Everybody went away from him only because Clemens was in the same bucket and he didn't admit it. Do you think Andy Pettitte's going to get in? No.
Well, I don't think Eddie Pettit would have got in anyway.
Andy
frankly.
Pettitte's a good pitcher. I mean,
He's
I
a
get
good
it. He's
pitcher.
probably not that good, but or not. He's
The
on
Hall
the
of-
I think
board.
he's in the Hall of Very
Hall
good.
He's
the
on the-
Hall of Fame
the
is not
board.
designed for good baseball players.
No, you're right, and that's the difference between the NFL and MLB and NBA Hall of Fame. They don't just let in people that were fan favorites and really like kind of good and great. The MLB only lets in the best of the best,
The elite, yes.
and that's what I like about the MLB Hall of Fame. And I think currently they're kind of tarnishing it with all these weird rules, and we need to figure it out. It needs to get figured out soon, or people are just not going to trust the Hall of Fame ever. Now there are people, like you said, there are people that are in that shouldn't be in, and people that should be in. Who do you think should be in?
Oh, I
That
think
is-
there are plenty of players who should be in. I mean, it depends on whether you're looking at the numbers or if you're taking into consideration, PEDs, possible PEDs. I mean, I'm looking at this year's ballot. I think Vladimir Guerrero, Edgar Martinez. I could name at least a dozen guys who I would put in there. Larry Walker is another one. Fred McGriff, Jeff Kent, not sure about them. Gary Sheffield, I'm on the fence. Sosa, probably not yet. Schilling, yes. Messina, yes. Bonds and Clemens, of course, yes. Taking into consideration, the steroids. Did I say Hoffman, Trevor Hoffman?
No, you didn't. But he should be in next year. No,
Absolutely, no doubter.
I would put in
next
Hoffman.
year's the year of the closer.
Yes. So, and actually, there are a few guys who aren't even on the ballot. Alan Trammell. Hell, I'd put in Alan Trammell and Lou Whitaker. Those are the two guys.
Yeah.
They were teammates for two decades. I put both of those guys in.
There's a lot of guys that missed their chance on the ballot that won't ever get their chance again. That should be in.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying I think they should allow for write-in votes, or there should be some
It
sort
should
of
be a write-in vote system.
Yeah.
You should get a certain number of write-ins.
Exactly.
That's it. And they have to meet a certain number of people write them in. That's all it is.
And one other caveat, and I don't think we discussed.
Everybody gets a list of people that are eligible, of players that are past their 5 years. Write down 5 names. Go.
And beginning next year, I'm just going to make one more point here. Beginning next year, they require everybody who could vote for the Hall of Fame, they have to post their list publicly. Okay, which I think is great
gonna be
because
huge.
that encourages accountability. People are going to criticize. People are going to praise.
People are going to criticize regardless of
Yeah,
what
but
you
it
do.
ma-
I
allow-
understand that.
If they didn't, we wouldn't have a show.
But those voters are going to be forced into an actual debate.
Yeah, they
They
can't-
can't have an ulterior. They can't have a personal agenda
Yeah,
that's
like,
based on emotion.
I hate Trevor Hoffman.
I
He
hate
played
Trevor-
in San
exactly.
Diego, and I'm a Dodgers fan.
Yes,
And I fucking
The
hate
Dodgers
Trevor
exactly.
Hoffman.
And I guarantee you,
There are
saw,
people
you
that
would
do
see
that.
that.
There are
all
people
the
that
time.
do that.
There
And it's-
absolutely are. And
There are
it's
people that
sad.
have been doing that for years.
We need to get back to, you mentioned PED usage. We're going to have to go with what denotes a PED. Do you think that Babe Ruth could even function if he wasn't drunk off his ass?
It's not a performance.
Well, that's not a
enhancer.
performance enhancer,
Do you,
though.
if he's not hammered, he can't perform. Is that not
We
a
don't know.
performance
That's
enhancer?
we don't know.
Yeah,
You're
we,
right.
we don't know.
We
that.
don't know.
I mean,
I know
honestly,
he was an alcoholic.
for us PEDs, the only thing we have to use for PEDs is what's on their band list.
And then you could also go into like the 80s with the cocaine and things like that, and the greenies in the
Daryl
70s.
Strawberry.
And-
Think he
yeah.
could have ran the bases as fast as he did
Yeah.
if he wasn't coked out of his mind? I mean, that dude was sniffing up the left field line. It was ridiculous. I mean, seriously, Daryl Strawberry. I mean, he walking around. He had some.
Reminds
Oh,
me of Hamilton.
of course. Oh, well, a
It was
bunch of
ridiculous.
players.
What'd you say?
So it reminds me of Hamilton.
Oh yeah. Well, we don't want to get into that. That's a little too soon. A little too soon for Hamilton.
I think it's a little too late for Hamilton.
It is a little too late for Hamilton, even though he did sign with the team, and we will get into that later today. So I think we've done enough on the Hall of Fame. What do you think? Do you guys have any more specific questions you want answered or talk about?
Right. And if you guys have any thoughts, any input, hell, I mean,
Yeah, hit us up on Twitter, JNC Baseball Show, or even send us an email, jncbaseballofficial@gmail.com. You can do that too. Leave a comment on here. We do read those. We do like to do viewer questions, which we will have we have a really good one later.
Yes.
From Patty in Arkansas. She sent me a really, really good one. So we're going to go ahead and get that. But now we're going to get into the AOS breakdown. and we're going to go straight into it.
Okay, first things first. We have the Oakland A's. The Oakland A's are one of those teams where obviously low budget, low payroll team. For the longest time, the Oakland A's are the enigma in Major League Baseball. They're the enigma in the American League. For the longest time, Billy Beane, of course, was praised as a team, as a GM who could cobble together an excellent. They had a great core. They could go out there. They could pluck the free agent market on the cheap. They could pick up guys who got on base, and they won 95 plus games annually. Well, that ended right, in the late 2000s or so. Their playoff run ended, and they sort of went into a 5 or 6 year drought. And they've pretty much followed that same strategy, I feel like, since then. They're a low budget team. And this year, I'm looking at their roster right now, and on paper, it doesn't look like a winning roster. It looks like about a 70 to 75 win team at best. But, with their young players, and especially with how they develop their pitching, you never know.
What pitching?
Well, they do have Sean Manaea. They've got I think Kendall Graveman.
Yeah, they got Graveman.
Those are a couple
Triggs.
of prospects, but and I'm not saying that they have like the top pitching prospects in baseball, but they're able to extract the most.
Have Sonny Gray.
They
Still,
do, and of course they have Sonny
assuming
Gray.
he stays because he could get dealt.
Right, and I think he's obviously, it's Billy Beane. He's obviously going to get dealt at some point. But what can they do to become competitive this season? I just think that they need their pitchers they need their bullpen. They need to get the most out of the pitching that they have, the bullpen that they have. They're not going to be players. I don't even think they'll be players at the trade deadline. So. But they're a team who could win 85 to 90 games. I mean, we've seen them do it before. 2013, I think, was a year. 2014, they didn't have the great roster on paper, but they somehow made it happen. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the Oakland A's.
Looking at the A's, I just have a few notes down here specifically. Assuming Sonny Gray stays, okay?
Huge assumption, by the way.
Assuming.
Huge assumption.
He has to have a Cy Young caliber season. He has to.
He's got to win.
For them to be competitive.
He's got to win 20 to keep them in the hunt.
I don't even care about winning. He needs to they need to win every single game that he starts, and that's going to be really tough, okay? Because I don't like Manaea, Graveman, Triggs. They have to do something, and they have to at least give you quality starts.
Right.
Everyone has to go at least 6 innings on almost everything because they do have a really good bullpen, actually.
Right.
That's assuming that Casilla doesn't do what he did at the back end of last year.
And I should clarify that I know that Billy Beane, I understand he's no longer the GM.
No, he's not.
He is
and that's another thing I want to say. They used to be really good at evaluating talent. I don't think he has the right sabermetrics, matrices and stuff like that.
Everybody
Completely
evaluates
different.
talent that way now.
But he has not gotten quality talent from his farm system in a long time compared to it did in the 2000s, especially the early 2000s.
The game change. It is a tremendous challenge to keep up with the game. The game changes over time. In 2005, whenever the Moneyball was written, everybody got on board with on base percentage, and then the game changed, and then that no longer became a market deficiency. Then it was, you could probably argue defense after that. So I think
defense and base running are huge right now. People are all over that. Especially with the Hayward signing and
stacked bullpens.
Yeah, well, that was a Royals thing from 2014.
There you go.
It's what everybody's following suit with now because it works so well. You get a pitcher into the 6th, you've got a 7th, 8th.
They have a bullpen to do that.
You're
But have you seen this bullpen? It's ridiculous.
It is a good bullpen.
If Axford actually is the Axeman he was in the Milwaukee, they have a good bullpen.
Closer cast-offs is what it is.
Doolittle's good.
It's closer cast-offs.
Casilla's pretty good. He had a couple good years until last year. Madsen did really, really well with the Royals. And then Axford. They have 4 guys that they can, if these starters can get to the 5th, 6th inning, they can win. They can sneak out games. But it's still too much.
And of course, you're talking about the bullpen being a market inefficiency. Bullpens are unlike any other element of the game. They're very, very difficult to build. You can't just go out there and buy. The Royals, like what they did with Joaquin Soria. They paid him 3 years, $25 million. That just doesn't work that way with bullpens. Bullpens, you.
Well, I mean, it does unless
it comes from unexpected
Soria, who single-handedly cost the Royals
11 games this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Ridiculous. We'll get into that later. I have 2 more things here. One, they actually have a pretty decent roster. Okay. No bench whatsoever. Nobody can get hurt for this team to compete in the AL West this year. I don't think they're going to compete at all. That's fine. They're
professional athletes. They will compete for a month and a half of the season, and then
when I say
every day wear and tear will catch up to somebody. I mean, hell, their number 4 man isn't even the best guy named Chris Davis in the majors.
I'm just saying, when I say compete, I mean compete for the division or a wild card spot. That's not going to happen. But they could definitely rebuild their farm system and get a lot of good guys at the All-Star break because, like we just said, they have 4 legitimate bullpen guys that teams like the Nationals, Giants, Rangers, even the Red Sox, who like to get depth in their bullpen for the playoff run, they could get some people back from that, and then you never know.
And
Especially
Sonny Gray,
they're
if he
willing
bounces
to-
back to
and
form,
Sonny
then
Gray
he will.
could- Sonny Gray.
If they're willing to trade Sonny Gray,
Which they have already shown that they are.
which they are, you can,
And you know
you
they
can
will.
use
It's Billy
that
Beane.
as
I
It
mean,
could,
come on.
I mean, they could
fantastic
fire
trade.
sale.
Oakland.
They could fire sale at the end of the All Star break and the deadline, and they actually might get. I mean, they may get
and then,
White
and
Sox
then in 2 years,
prospects.
and then
Right.
in 2 years make a run.
I don't. They're never going to make a run. They're the A's. They never win in the playoffs.
I think the A's are always 2 years away. They're always just
Yeah.
2 years away from something.
they are.
You know?
I mean, Billy Beane's a great manager, and he's not even the GM anymore. He's the vice president
Right,
of baseball
exactly.
operations.
Right.
And so he runs a good ship, but I just don't think that they have it. He doesn't have that Theo Epstein or that Dayton Moore or that little thing that pushes him over the top, that one last move that gets him to where he needs to be.
And also one fundamental problem with the Oakland A's, I look at their roster, particularly their lineup. I don't see one great player. There's not one great player in that lineup.
Chris Davis
I think
is
it's
pretty good.
He's pretty good. I would say
And that's
he's
at best.
very good.
Pretty good doesn't carry a team.
He's
Sonny
not
Gray is, when he's healthy and actually pitching well, he is a great player.
He's-
On,
I think
on
their
a
only
1 to
star
10
player.
scale, Sonny Gray is an 8, 8.5.
and that's what you need.
As a number 2 man,
Maybe.
not as a cornerstone.
Depends on the
not
division.
as a cornerstone of that
It
pitching
depends
staff.
on the division. It really does. I mean, the AL West,
If you had 3 guys like Sonny Gray, you'd be
you
fine.
get Sonny
Oh, yeah.
Gray to the Brewers,
But
they're
you
going to win
don't.
some games.
Yeah,
especially against the
they're
Reds and
gonna win.
Pirates.
They're going to win the 20 games that Sonny Gray wins.
Exactly, but that's all they're going to win.
That's absolutely all they're going to win.
And also that they need a new ballpark. I know we've been saying that for 2 decades
They will.
now.
They'll get one. They'll get one.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on to the Angels. We've talked a little too long about the Athletics, even though we're trying to be as nice as possible. The Athletics are not going to win.
You're welcome on that one, by the way.
The Athletics are a dumpster.
We're going to move on to the Angels.
They're decent, and they do have one thing that nobody else in baseball has: the greatest player in the game today, hands down, and possibly the greatest that I've ever seen, maybe the greatest of all time, in Mike Trout.
The only other person I could say that in my lifetime I've ever seen play that's better than Mike Trout is maybe Griffey Jr.
Maybe, and that's one of the best of all time, without question. And it's a maybe on as good as Trout.
But I mean, Trout needs some time. He's 5 years in,
Yeah, he's
but
young.
he's still really good.
He's insanely
So
good.
I guess the question that we asked each other is, did their picks that they picked up, that are all basically defensive players, help them get closer to a playoff picture when Mike Trout's on that team? Because he's not going to stay past that extension unless they start winning.
And I don't think he will. He's at his age, he's looking to.
He
win a
wants to
World
win.
Series.
He doesn't care about his numbers.
He's a winner, and he wants to win games. Wants to find a place where he can make that happen. And right now, that place is not Los Angeles.
The problem is they were the best team in baseball in 2015. You forget that. The Royals, or no, 2014.
2014.
The Royals swept them out of the playoffs when they had like a 98-win season.
Yeah.
They were a good team back then, and then they just fell apart because they actually had some pitching.
That's true.
They don't really have
They
pitching
had
now,
pitching-
but they might have
They
pitching
had
now.
pitching that gave up bombs to the Royals, who never
In-
went
in
deep.
Kansas City, which is like the hardest place to hit bombs in.
Yeah, it was. It
But
was
I will
insane.
say,
I was there, and it was fun to watch. But
Oh,
we,
yeah.
we saw Trout hit a ball like
That hasn't landed
700
yet.
feet.
Yes.
That was ridiculous. So what I'm looking at here, they did pick up some good guys, and they have a lot of good defensive players. Trout, Escobar, Espinoza, very underrated defensively. Maybe, I mean, last year he showed a lot of pop with the Nationals. I still think him moving to second base will be huge, and maybe him and Simmons up the middle, they might be able to help basically trim down some of the runs because their pitching last year was just horrendous. And then Maben, who's good, very fast. Maldonado, is that how you say that?
Maldonado.
Yeah, Maldonado, the catcher, very good with his, but they can't score runs.
they can't, which is weird. With Pujols and Trout in the lineup, you should be able to score runs.
The problem is they have to hit those guys back to back.
With Escobar and Calhoun on the lineup, they can get on base
Maybe.
in front of those guys, and they should be able to score runs. And that's assuming that Pujols can manage to stay healthy, which is always up in the air.
I see about 5 or 6 players in that lineup who I think, 1 through 6, I think they look pretty good. Escobar is kind of an on-base guy. Of course, Trout, Pujols, they're going to give you the power. Cron, I think, is going to give you enough power.
Calhoun's a pretty good-
Calhoun's a good, and I
pretty good
think
right
very
fielder.
underrated
Yes.
player. Yeah.
He's a good right fielder.
But beyond that, that's it. And then you're focusing on defense at second base, shortstop, and Simmons, of course, is an excellent defensive
ridiculous.
shortstop. And
Ridiculous.
Espinosa is good defensively as well. Maben, of course, is pretty good. But I agree with you though that I don't think there's enough lineup depth there, and certainly not enough starting pitching.
I mean,
depth.
but they do have some guys on the bench that are pretty good defensively. I mean, they got Ben Revere, who's pretty good. I mean, he's really fast, decent leadoff guy. So if somebody does go down like Maben, obviously you can't have Trout go down, but somebody goes down like that, you can do it. But I mean, they're starting pitching. I mean, they're starting pitching. Shoemaker, Skaggs, Richards. Those guys have so much upside. So much upside.
Upside is exactly what it is. Unproven.
No. Richards is proven. He just got hurt, and that guy was really good.
So your question is, how is he going to bounce back?
Well, he bounced back pretty decent at the end of last year. He had a couple good quality starts.
Richards throws fastball. He's 95, 96.
Yeah, the dude throws smoke.
These are professional hitters, 95, 96, still gets hit hard.
It does, but
We saw
he
that.
has a lot of really good. He's got good off-speed pitches.
Yeah.
But I will say the one thing that I really like about this team is was it Bedrosian?
Bedrosian.
Bedrosian.
Mm-hmm.
The dude is a absolute stud. I'm going to read off some numbers here. 40 innings last year, 1.12 ERA, 109 WHIP, 41 Ks in 40 innings, which is really good. 14 walks.
Mhm.
Sits 95 miles an hour. Swing rate could be a little higher. Swinging strike rate of 11.2. That needs to go up a little bit, being a closer. But his left on base rate is almost 90%.
Well, and that's great, but see, my theory is, as a Royals fan, being a Royals fan, especially over the last 3 or 4 years, you need more than one guy in your bullpen, though. You
I know,
need to
I'm
have
just
at
saying,
least 3 guys. I
As of
understand.
right now,
Okay. Yeah.
they have a building block in the bullpen to be a good team.
Right.
And they have the money
Right.
to pick up maybe some of the guys from the A's if the A's are
Are
willing
they,
to trade.
going to be able to build on that building block
They have the money. They have the money.
before
Trout's
contract
got like
runs
2 or
out?
3 years
Yeah,
left on that.
2 years.
They have it. They just have to do it. And I think they're making the right strides. They're doing it the way the Astros did, the Cubs did, the Indians did, going for defense, bullpen, and then maybe get some. I mean, they have some boppers in their lineup. Obviously, Trout and Pujols can already hit the absolute crap out of the ball, but they just need a couple more pieces, and they're good. I mean, they're not this year. They're not in it. I don't think so.
But the thing is, I think if they face another season where they're winning 72 to 75 games, they've got to trade Mike Trout. But the good news is they could replenish their team and they could make themselves into a contender the following season.
They
if
can do it
that.
immediately. They don't need to trade him to do that. They have the money to do it. I mean, it's the L.A. Angels.
I don't know if they have that because Pujols is getting up there. I mean, Pujols is up. He's 37 now, I believe, or 38.
I'm not saying they can get the players they need. If they need players, they can go get them.
Yeah.
They just, I mean, right now I just don't understand why they're not. They need to do it. They just need to do it.
Yeah.
So, any more?
Anything else?
I think that we've just about covered the dumpster fire that is the Angels.
It's ridiculous.
It is. There's so much potential.
There is.
And you will see exactly 0 of that potential.
We will. So we're going to go to another team with so much potential and absolutely nothing in the starting rotation. The Astros.
Yes, the Houston Astros. They're one team. They're a team that I picked last year to win the division. They didn't really come close to it. They finished, a fairly distant, I believe, second place to Texas. I do think this year is the year they put it together. They've got some just incredibly talented young starting pitchers. Pitched really well in the postseason.
I want you to name who they
against
who
the
those
Royals.
starting
We're
pitchers are.
talking about Lance McCullers. We're talking about Colin McHugh. Both of those guys, I think, viable number 2, number 3 arms. I think
They need a number 1.
if they stay healthy.
You're assuming that Dallas Keuchel is number 1.
Well,
I have numbers here that prove he's not.
I would probably.
He's got a Cy Young that says he is.
I would.
Great.
It's difficult to tell because he did over the 2015 season. He did it over a long period of time. He missed bats, and frankly, and I'll even admit, I don't know how he did it because he was throwing 89 to 90, a left-hander in a bandbox of a ballpark with a short portion of left field, but he did it. And can he revert back to that form? I don't know about that, but I do think that he's a solid number 3, number 2 pitcher.
He's not a number 1 like everybody thinks he is. Okay, I'm going to read you off some stuff. In 2015, he had a ridiculous year. Okay, he had 20-8, 232 innings. He's not going to go throw 232 innings again. 2.48 ERA, 102 WHIP, 216 strikeouts, which is by far higher than his normal average. Normal average in walks at 51. His swinging strike percentage is only 1% higher. The thing that really helped him out was his 10% higher left on base. He literally got people out a lot, 80%. All the other years he's been a starting pitcher, we're going to exclude the year that he first came up because he only had like 5 or 6 starts. He has a 4.21 ERA. He's only pitching 170 innings on average, 1.33 WHIP, 137 strikeouts on average per season. Same 50 walks. Swinging strike percentage is down to 9. Left on base is at 70%. Okay, so outside of 2015, this guy is not a good pitcher.
Outside of 2015, he's a number 3, number 4
Maybe.
pitcher.
For the Royals.
Not even. You mean the 2015 World Champion Royals?
We're not talking about 2015. Okay, we're talking about Dallas Keuchel.
But you almost have to throw everything before 2015. You almost have to-
Anytime you talk about Dallas Keuchel,
I don't
you
even
have
wanna-
to talk 2015.
But here's the problem. I don't want to talk about what happened last year because his numbers last year were worse. I'm giving this guy credit.
Okay, so
His
you're
numbers
saying
in 2014 and 13 were better than 2016.
okay,
Period.
okay.
His 2016 was terrible. I mean, he just didn't show up. It's like he just didn't want to play anymore.
Mhm.
I mean, he came out. He had a great year 2015. I don't know what he did during the offseason, but he needs to go figure that out.
I will say that the one need right now for the Astros, they definitely need they need another
They
starting
need
pitcher
one starting pitcher.
for that rotation. I do think they've got a deep lineup though. You know, they got one, maybe two holes. First base is kind of a question mark. Right field, Aoki, I think he can get on base, but other than that, you know, what can he do? You know, but their lineup, I love their lineup. I mean, Jose Altuve, second base. I think
Carrera's amazing.
Correa, of course, is a great, I think, a superstar
Altuve
in the
is probably
making.
the third best player in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah.
And George Springer, I like him. I like
The
that
animal.
power. And and I love the offseason moves they made with their
Yeah,
lineup.
bringing in Brian McCann.
Brian McCann,
Carlos Beltran, stealing
Carlos
him from
Beltran.
the Rangers because he decimated them last year.
Yes. And then first base, and you got Gurriel.
He's also a million years old.
He's also one of the best switch hitters in the history of the game.
That's true. In the history of the game. In his, 20-year career?
Okay, the thing is with him, okay, not only will he bring stability to that lineup, okay, because he can hit from both sides of the plate. He's going to be a good power bat. He's going to DH. We know that. He is going to be a veteran presence for somebody like Carlos Correa. I mean, Jose Altuve has been in the league for a while. We get that. But what about Bergman? Okay, these guys need somebody to teach them to be a professional. Correa's done it a while, but who better to learn from than freaking Carlos Beltran? Seriously.
So you're hanging your hat on being a clubhouse guy.
Yeah. There is some intangible stuff that you need to have on your team. Okay? And he brings all of that.
He does. He has been.
He's a consummate pro.
He is. That's exactly what I was going to say. A consummate pro, and he's every bit of that,
And
and
he's
will
amazing.
continue to be that as long as somebody's willing to pay him to do so.
Yeah, and he can paint his hair onto his head. It's amazing.
Also,
It's
yes.
hilarious. I don't know how many magic markers they used last year to paint his head. It was the funniest thing I've seen all year. It was great. But
So all you Houston fans out there should probably be buying stock in Sharpie.
they maybe that or magic erasers, whatever those magic eraser whiteboard things are. I don't know what they
You
use.
got to get the ones that smell good.
No, because then we eat them.
And another reason I like the Astros is the depth that they have in their farm system. Their farm system, all of those top round draft picks that they got a few years ago because they were terrible for
From
however
who, the
many
Cardinals?
years, for 4 years. What was that?
From the Cardinals?
From the
Did they
Cardinals?
get this
Yeah,
from the
exactly. Yeah. Well, that too. But you know, you got first base, you got AJ Reed, you got some guys on the bench who could come in and produce. You know, Evan Gattis. You know, I don't know if he's a first baseman. He could.
He's a truck driver, okay?
He is
And
a truck
swings
driver. He looks like a truck driver.
He swings a tree, and if he hit it, ball go far. That's
Yes.
what he does. And I love him. He's one of my favorite players.
I appreciate you stealing my catchphrase, so thank you for that.
Ball go far.
Yeah.
He
I don't even know what I'm going to add to this because that's what I was going to use.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. He absolutely
He hits the absolute
subscribes
shit.
to the theory.
Swing hard.
in case you hit it.
No, the
And that's a
theory,
perfect
the theory
ballpark
he
for him.
prescribes to is chicks dig the long ball.
Not anymore. Chicks may dig it, but GMs and clubhouses do not dig that really much anymore.
And I also like the fact that he doesn't wear batting gloves.
He doesn't
right?
wear
Yeah,
batting
he doesn't
gloves.
wear batting
He's a
gloves.
man's man.
He's a man's
He's
man.
a
He's
man's
just
man.
him and his big old gut right there.
He's
just
over there.
hanging out on
Yeah,
the plate.
he's got
He
a
looks
crack in a beer.
He looks
like Steve
uh,
Austin on steroids.
Steve Austin. He looks like what's his name from the Rookie of the Year movies.
He looks like Hato.
Yeah.
Freaking Hato there. You got nothing.
And
I
of course,
know
Jack
it, and you know it.
Jack Parkman.
Yeah,
think you
I
could
mean,
maybe throw a
he's
little bit of
that
Jack
guy,
Parkman in there.
and
Yeah.
I love it. It's funny how a new uniform can make you really, really like a player.
And then
Still a dick.
I love it.
and finally, last part of why I like the Astros is I don't think it's quite as good of a bullpen as they had a couple, 2 or 3
Ken
years
Giles
ago.
has to be Ken Giles from the Phillies.
Yes.
He has to be. He can't do what he did last year.
And
Take
they-
a whole half season off.
And they've got some complimentary guys. Tony Sipp, I like that. I
Sipp's
believe
great.
they re-signed him. Luke
Sipp-
Gregerson, Will Harris. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're great. I mean, Sip, great. The thing for me is they lost Josh Fields because now they really don't have that. Outside of Ken Giles, they don't have that power right arm that throws 97 outside of Ken Giles. Obviously,
Right.
Ken Giles can do that. And he's got to be the guy that they traded all those picks for. He has to be. Or they're going to have another collapse in the postseason if they make it.
I do predict, given that they underachieved last year, I do predict next year is going to be a real breakthrough season for them. I think they're the team in 2017 that's going to most emulate what the Indians did in 2016. Is I think it's all going to come together for them next year. I think they're going to win.
Everybody's going to have the year.
Yeah.
What about Gurriel at first base? How do you feel about that?
Gurriel, I'm not so sure. How old is he now?
Like
Is
30,
he?
31?
Yeah,
something like that?
31.
But he's
31, I
Cuban,
think.
so he's a specimen.
I'm not 100% sold
Assuming
on
he's
him.
actually 31.
That's the big thing.
Exactly, yeah. I'm not 100%
31
sold on
going on
him. I know that
45.
he had some hype coming out of Cuba, but and he's
He
put
hits
up
absolute piss rods.
He has put up some great moves, but I think that what I like about their team though is they have insurance in case it doesn't work out with him. If playing every day doesn't work for him, they've got Gaddis. They've got who's the first base prospect? His name escapes me.
AJ Reed.
AJ Reed. There you go. Yeah.
AJ Reed's good too. I will say that, but he has to put it together too. He's been having some issues in the majors.
Having to put it together is why he's a prospect and not a starting first baseman.
Well, I mean, when you got somebody like Gurriel that hits the ball 900 feet on a laser, it's really tough. I mean, they have so many people, and they can easily trade for like a Quintana, but do they want to give up all those prospects?
I'm not sure. They do have the prospects to give up if they wanted to.
But I don't
But
think they should, honestly. In my
It's a
eyes.
convenience for them. I mean,
It is a convenience, but they need it because you never know who's going to go down, and you never know who's going to be leaving in free agency. I mean, not all those guys are going to be there forever.
Right.
So, all right, we're going to go to the team that absolutely murders the Astros every single year, and that's the Rangers. If the Astros could actually beat the Rangers maybe once a week that they play them, 1 out of 7 times, they might be able to win the division.
And until last week, I actually thought that was a possibility.
Absolutely true. I agree with you completely on
With
that.
the the signing of Napoli, they
I
have
can-
shored up the only hole in that lineup.
I don't know, because Joey Gallo, I mean, DHing, he can hit.
Depends
He
on,
can,
it
Gallo.
depends on which Gallo shows
It's supposed
up.
to be Callo. Callo.
Thank you, Vinny. I appreciate that. No, the guy's unproven. I mean, there's a reason why he wasn't playing before then, and like guys like Ryan Rua, Jared Hoying, and all these other and what is it, Chinero, they were all playing before. I mean, if he hits good, why hasn't he hit good? You know what I mean? If he's a good hitter, why doesn't he hit good? To quote Moneyball. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, he looks great. He looks like he's got great power. He's just like Tim Tebow. If he's gonna hit the ball, he goes well, but he doesn't hit the ball. He's got to do it at the major league level.
He's
I've
like
had quite
Soler.
enough of your bashing Tim Tebow.
I'm not
for one
bashing
day.
Tim Tebow. I'm just saying, as a ball player, they're the same
And
thing.
you know what he has in common with Tim Tebow? He's a winner.
Is he? Because he hasn't won yet.
He
The
will
guy
this
hits like
year.
190 in the majors.
315 this year.
You're calling Joey Gallo 315.
I am.
He's hitting 9-hole on that team.
I will stake my reputation on it.
Okay, well we got that on recording here.
Yeah.
You're on record.
I don't
I am.
think for the question that was asked that we forgot to ask Tommy, do they continue to struggle in the playoffs? Is this the year they finally get a ring? Because they've been to the World Series a couple times, they can't ever do it, can't get over the hump. I don't think they do.
No, they will absolutely win this division.
I
And
think they will win the
They
division.
will win this division. They will make the playoffs. Everything will be great, and then they will be absolutely destroyed
by the
because
Red Sox or the Indians.
Yeah, exactly.
I think-
Because it's the same thing that always happens. And despite the fact that on paper this team is amazing,
Yeah.
it's just astonishingly good.
Go ahead. Yeah,
Oh,
go.
fire
I was going to say, to answer your question, though, I think the only way that it happens is I think Hamels and Darvish are both going to have to stay healthy.
It's the first year
and
they're going to
gonna
both
have
together for the whole year.
Yeah, the first year they've both been together. They're going to have to stay healthy. They're going to have to perform really well in the postseason, and they're going to have one other guy, okay, for the postseason. And also, their bullpen is going to have a very, very good season.
Can
They're gonna
Tyson
have to
Ross
get-
be that guy?
I have no issues with Hamels whatsoever. He is amazing.
Nails.
He's as
Nails.
advertised. Even when he's not pitching well,
Nails.
he is unbelievable. Darvish, on the other hand, for all the talent in the world, I think he's lacking the 6 inches between his ears.
I
On
don't
top
know.
of the fact that he's always one screwball away from never being able to pitch in the majors again.
Does he throw a screwball?
He does, in fact.
Actually, I think he does.
What was
yes.
that called? What's that Japanese pitch they always
the-
call?
the-
The shuto or whatever.
You can call it whatever the hell you want. I call it an arm problem waiting for time and place to happen.
I mean, he's not Shin Chu. Okay, he's not a walking pan of peanut brew. Okay, that guy gets hurt standing in the outfield
It just says he throws
Every single year.
every single
6
year, except for
pitches.
when he played in Cleveland. For some reason, he was decent when he was
7
there.
pitches. I'm sorry.
I don't. They're a good team, but they're not the Indians or the Red Sox. They're going to win the division because Napoli is not going to allow them to do that.
The issue that I have with the Rangers is the age of some of their players. Now, Adrian Beltre, of course, keeps performing at an
He's the
outstanding
ageless
level.
wonder.
He is the ageless wonder, and he's 38 now, I believe. But every year, it's kind of like
And
okay,
still hitting bombs from his knees.
He does.
And
He
then-
hits 400-foot shots from his left knee.
the core of their team
Swing hard in case
is
you hit
in
it.
their 30s right now. I mean, the core of their team is in their 30s.
Really?
Napoli is in their 30s. Yes.
Would you say he's a core?
Their current player. Well, he's batting cleanup for them. He's projected, according to Rotochamp.com, bat cleanup. He's going to bat in the middle of the order. We know that.
He'll bat in the middle of the order.
Chu is in his 30s. Gomez, I want to say, is 30.
He's 29.
29. Okay. Beltre, of course, 38. And-
Red Odor, 22.
Okay.
Nomar
yeah,
Mazar,
they-
22.
They do have some young
Profar,
players.
22.
By the way,
Are they
Odor,
core
the
players,
best
though?
right hand in baseball.
He does have best right hand in baseball.
Are they core players though? I don't
Yes,
know.
Red
Hamels is in
Odor
his
is
30s now.
amazing. Nomar Mazar is amazing. Those guys are really good. Profar, when he actually gets a chance to play, because for some reason he doesn't get a chance to play anywhere,
He's injured every
he's
year.
amazing. What's
And you're right. When he's healthy, he is as good as anybody in professional baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely is.
he's like Jorge Soler. If he's on the field and he's actually healthy, he's going to do some good.
Soler's another example of a guy who looks the part too. He looks the part.
And then strikes out
Elvis
200
Andrews
times
is
a
good.
year.
But we'll see.
Elvis
We'll see
Andrews
what
is a
happens.
really good shortstop, except for those
He
3
is
errors
good
in a row
defensively.
that cost him a chance to go to the NLCS or ALCS.
That's true. But
You know
he
what
is
that
good.
tells me?
He was the
Not
best Blue
clutch.
Jay on the field at the time.
He absolutely was.
The best Blue Jay. Jeez, I mean, I don't think the Royals win the World Series if he doesn't make those 3 errors, because that year they were really good. 2015 they were really good, and they made 3 errors in a row. I mean, but it happens. I just don't think it. I
Thing
mean,
is,
looking at the pen,
it doesn't happen.
I mean, they're going to really miss Diekman for a long time this year. There's a solid lefty, throws 98 from the left sidearm, but they still have Bush, Dighton, Jeffers. He's really good. I mean, that was a huge pickup getting Jeffers and Lucroy last year. Let's see what they can do with them for the full year.
I just can't believe Jeffress is, I just saw him in a Royals uniform, and I realized that was, 5 years ago, but he could not find home plate. The guy threw like 100, but he could not find home plate. We'll credit to them because they extracted it out of him.
Well, congratulations. He's the Kenny Powers of Major League Baseball.
Perhaps my biggest. Now, I do think the Rangers are a good team, and I think they're going to be knocking on the door of the playoffs. Although I didn't predict them to win the division, but the reason that I'm not as sold on the Rangers as you guys are is they won so many one-run games last year. Those things don't happen from year to year.
It's because they have older players that are veterans that know how to win. They've won the division like 3 years in a row. They're going to keep doing it until the Astros prove to me and take the division from the Rangers, which last year they got murdered by the Rangers all year. Until they actually take the division, they're going to have to just rip it from their hands. They're not going to win it.
Okay, I'm just saying that I don't expect them to win 38 and one-run games. I don't think they have a historically good bullpen. think it's
Of
a
course,
decent
they're not
bullpen.
going. They have a decent bullpen, which is the reason why they're not going to go far in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But they have 2 really good starters, 2 frontline guys. Tyson Ross coming up. He's really good. He's got stuff. We'll see what
When
he
healthy,
is.
they do have 2 solid number ones.
We'll see. We'll
Which-
see what they got.
Every
That is
team
true.
in baseball would kill for.
That's very true.
Every
Everybody-
single
everybody.
team.
And
They
Cole
would kill
Hamels,
for
I think, is a
either
borderline
one of
Hall of
those
Famer.
two.
Really. Right
Yeah,
now.
at this point.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Best changeup I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Great changeup. We're gonna go to the final team, Seattle Mariners. Now this is one of those. I like the Seattle Mariners, but it's one of those teams that comes back and bites you every single year because you never know. You never know with the Mariners, and I do love their lineup. They made some good trades, in my opinion. Gerard Dyson may not be one of the best top end players.
Worst routes to
It doesn't matter. He's fast enough to take care of it. He's going to be a good leadoff guy. Gene Segura doesn't have to lead off anymore. He can hit second, maybe get some people on base. NL batting champ last year. He's going to really, really help Cano, Cruz, Seager. But once you get past those guys, what do they really have? Okay. And then secondly, their starting rotation is very old and coming off a pretty bad season outside of most of their guys. Okay. They don't have Taiwan Walker anymore. King Felix had the worst year of his career statistically and fastball velocity wise, which is huge for him because all of his off speed stuff plays off that fastball. And if it's 5-6 miles an hour lower like it was, the changeup just doesn't have it anymore. And so, like I was telling you earlier, I think for him, his whole year is going to be predicated on what Felix Hernandez shows up in the World Baseball Classic. And I know you don't like this, but I think if he comes out and he shows that he's got it in early March, mid-March, he's going to have a good year. And if he sets the tone, they might have a pretty good rotation this year.
Look, we all understand that Father Time is undefeated. And King Felix is not the King Felix that he once was. The fact of the matter is, at this point in his career, he's got to learn how to be a major league pitcher. He's not going to reach back.
He knows how
back.
to be a
He's not
major
going to
league
reach
pitcher.
back and
He's
blow
been in the
smoke
major leagues
tests.
for 13 years.
Everybody
You sound like
that's
Ned
stepped-
Yost, Tommy. You sound like Ned Yost.
You shut your filthy mouth. I actually have a
He doesn't need
thought
to
in my
learn.
head, and I understand baseball, so I'm much better than Ned Yost. But
He's been in the majors
Hey.
for 13 years since he was
I'm staying
17
out of
years
this.
old.
it's time he learns how to pitch. We're talking knees to letters, black to black. Use the curveball, use the changeup, use the slider, and then 93 looks like 98.
I get that. But the guy, the
I
guy
know
has
you
Hall
get
of
that.
Fame resume already.
He's got Hall of
Basically.
Fame resume. I think that he's going to.
A Hall of Fame that's absolutely useless, by the way, until Pete Rose is in.
I agree with Tom. I think that Felix Hernandez, he's going to have to more. He's right now. He has morphed into a pitcher who maybe more like a James Shields type, a workhorse, a guy who's going to probably throw 190, 200, 210 innings a year. His ERA is going to be 3.8 to 4, but he's going to have to. But he's going to give his team a chance.
He
every
has to.
single game.
He has to set the tone for that rotation because Ishikawa's not a number
Yeah.
one, Paxton's not a number one, Smiley's not a number one, but all of those guys will follow somebody through the wall. And Felix Hernandez has to be the guy that just blows through it and does everything
and
for that team.
He
can,
because
but
is
will
the-
he?
Mentally, he is as strong as any pitcher.
But he
I've
didn't
ever
do it
seen.
last year. So I got to see him this year do it. He's got to come out firing. He has to come out absolutely throwing bullets. And that's why I think you keep saying you don't like the World Baseball Classic. It's because we're American, okay? So America's the only country in the World Baseball Classic that doesn't take these games seriously because they'd rather worry about my contract in the MLB. These teams from Venezuela, Puerto Rico, Dominican, these are what they play for. They're representing their country. And
Okay.
and he takes it seriously.
I agree with you. That may be true, and that certainly is true, especially among the fans there and among the players who are from there
You
who are
can
maybe
see
playing
it
in the minor leagues.
first inning when a guy hits a double
or-
and gets just one run, and they're all out there going crazy,
But-
doing the Bernie on the first baseline.
But these players, these are multi-million-dollar athletes. Of
I
course,
get
playing
that.
playing professional baseball, 7-8 months out of the season. And I think what's going to happen, I worry about injuries with these guys.
You can
I
worry
really
about
do.
injuries.
I
all
worry
you
about
want.
injuries.
These guys don't. Not from
Because-
the other countries. You know why? They are so happy to be able to play on a grass field and play with a real baseball and get the opportunity to wear their country's name on their chest, which is what American players have not done in the last 3 baseball classics. Hopefully they do it this year. But he's going to come out and he's going to show it. Just watch these teams play. Just watch them play. Like last year, the Dominican Republic, first game of the year, they're playing Colombia. Hanley Ramirez hits a double, drives in 1 run, and every single player on that team is just hurtling over the dugout to get to the home plate just to celebrate 1 run in the first inning of the first game. They care. And you're going to see a different level of pitching, and that's the reason why these teams beat the crap out of America, and we've never made it to a finals game, because we just don't care. All we care about is the money that we get if we were there. Why am I pitching? I don't get paid to be here.
I think there are a lot of things that go into it other than just don't care. But
They care about themselves. We'll see this year.
Some
We'll
do,
see this
yes,
year
absolutely.
because we have a much better
You
team
got to
this year, in my
realize
opinion.
that those people that are coming up from Cuba, Dominican Republic, they're used to playing 365 days a year.
That's a point.
They absolutely are. That's why do you think that major league teams build camps in those countries?
Because they can play this.
Because they can play.
It's not
all
Michigan.
year
All the time.
round.
It's not
you're right,
Michigan,
it's not-
Ohio,
it's-
Maine.
and
where
of
it's
course,
30
the
feet
we're
of snow
sitting
half the
we're
year.
sitting in Kansas in February. What's the weather like outside today?
It's 70 degrees. What was the weather like
Was-
2 days ago?
it was
20.
30 degrees.
And you can't go into a gymnasium. You can't go into a gymnasium
not the
and
same.
get
It's not the same.
full
It's
experience.
not the same.
It's why a lot of American-born players from Florida, from Southern California, Arizona, Texas.
That's why they're
Louisiana.
hotbeds of talent.
Yeah.
Because you can play all the time.
Right.
Okay, so back to the Mariners because we kind of got off a little bit. Their bullpen is a big concern without Zizek coming off an injury, but I will
Big
say
concern.
Diaz, unbelievable.
I think Diaz is
a-
going to win the Rolaids, whatever.
Oh,
relief
yeah,
of
whatever
the
the
year.
Rolaids,
Rolaids
the Tums closer award or whatever
reliever
the hell it is, the ibuprofen award for the right-hander. Dude, the guy's ridiculous. He throws absolute
Yes.
cheddar. I mean, we're looking at the next, in my opinion, the next big-time closer.
I agree.
Absolute big-time closer. But can they get him the ball? Can they get him the ball? I mean, they're going to
Exactly.
score runs.
Cishek,
'Cause
Vincent,
what good is
Scribner.
he sitting on his ass in the bullpen?
The guy had a lot of good
What are you
stuff
gonna
last
do?
year.
Run him out there every 4th or 5th day just to make sure he can get some work because you're down 4 runs and you don't want him to be completely and utterly cold for the entire season.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. So, I mean, I just don't know. It's one of those things that was, I mean, just like the Rockies and the Diamondbacks, it's
On-
great on paper.
on paper?
You never know.
And
Yeah,
To me,
They
the
are
biggest,
the communism of professional baseball.
Wow, that was a little too
There
far.
you go.
Not at all.
So
On
I'm gonna go.
paper,
I'm
it
gonna go
works.
with this. Okay.
In practice, we'll see.
We will see. So I'm gonna go to this. Okay. Big dog. Who do you got? What's the division?
Okay, we'll start with fifth, and then we'll move our way up. So fifth place, I'm gonna go with the Oakland
Okay. Can we
A's.
all stipulate that
fifth.
Oakland A's are gonna be fifth?
Yes.
Okay.
Fourth, I will go with and Oakland A's. I'll predict a win total. We'll say 72 wins, about 72 wins.
I don't
for
think they win
Oakland.
70.
Okay. Angels, I'm going to go with about 70. Let's go with 74 wins for the Angels, fourth place. I do think the Mariners will be knocking on the door. I don't think that they have enough depth. I think they have a good 2 through 6 in their lineup. I think they've got a couple very good pitchers, but there's not a lot of depth there, and they're going to need to stay healthy, which I don't think they will do, frankly. So Mariners, I'll go with 84 wins, third place.
Okay.
Second place, let's go with the Rangers. I don't see the Rangers winning 90 some odd games
they a
like
wild
they did
card team?
last year. I would say, I'm going to say no. I'm
Okay.
going to say no in the wild card team, although I do think they come very, very, very close to the wild card. I'll go with 86 wins for the Rangers. Astros will go with, I'll just say 94 wins.
So you think the
Winning the
Astros
division.
going to win 94 wins?
94 games, yes.
Huge season.
That's
for
a
the
big
Stros.
season.
Yeah.
That's
They're going to have a lot. They have to have a lot of really good pitching performances for them to do that.
They will, and I do think they're going to go out. I do think they're going to trade the prospects for the starting pitcher at the deadline.
I don't know if they do, but I hope they do.
Yeah.
It'd be
I'd love
interesting.
to see it
Love
because
to see
that's
it
the
too.
only way they're going to compete with the Rangers.
Yeah. Tommy, what do you got?
Obviously, A's and in ass last. They're
They're better than the
they're-
Padres.
They're barely.
No, they're better than the Padres. Padres are terrible.
I think they if they played 100 games,
The A's
49 and 51.
win. Who they playing? The Padres?
If they played the Padres in 100
No,
games,
they're winning 60 games.
no, not a chance.
Padres are terrible.
No. Yeah, so are the A's.
A's are not that bad. They got a really good bullpen.
Disagree
They got a good bullpen, but it's going to be a fire sale.
that they can't get to.
That's the point. It's fire sale. So
Exactly.
go ahead.
Followed up by the Mariners.
You have the Mariners in fourth.
And fourth. Yeah. And
Okay.
I
I
like
want
the
you. I would
Mariners, but
love to hear how you got the Mariners in fourth.
I have no faith in your precious King Felix, at all whatsoever.
He's not my precious King Felix. I mean, Jesus, he's a good player, and he's
after
been a
listening to
really
this,
good
you're
pitcher.
the
Guys, I'm
only
going to bed.
one
Years.
that doesn't.
Good night,
think
Tommy.
that-
Good night, Jack. Good night, King Felix.
Yeah, I said like, every night I say my prayer to King Felix. It's ridiculous.
You and
He is
everybody in
great.
Seattle.
No. Yes, you're right. But I'm just saying, no, he's a good pitcher. I mean, he's good, and he's been good for years.
He has. He's.
Oh, he has, yeah.
There's no
I
doubt
do
about
think he's
it.
a Hall of Famer.
He's a Hall of Famer. He's
Yeah.
a Hall of Famer. But I would like to see him get to the playoffs.
Right, I know.
Okay,
I
so
know.
the
At
Mariners
some point,
here
That's
for-
going to happen.
I got the Mariners in fourth, Angels in third. It's gonna be a toss up between those two teams for third and fourth. They're gonna be close.
Okay.
But
I'll give you
neither one is great. Neither one is good. Both of them are just showing up and collecting a paycheck at this point, because it's gonna come down to a 2-horse race.
Is it a 2-horse race, or is it the big brother dragging his little brother?
No. I think I'm with Jack. I think the Stros are gonna make strides and finish second, about 3 games back.
3. They're going to make some strides to finally catch up to the team.
They're going to be close, but it's exactly that. It's a little brother, big
It
brother
is a little brother,
situation.
big brother thing, and
And-
he's got to take it.
And
The
you do.
Astros have to beat it out of him. They got to do it.
And you know what? I hope they do. I want the Astros to win. I just don't think they've got it in them.
I would be more angry with the Rangers for taking their entire state name. You know, the Astros are just Houston. They play in Texas. Why should the Rangers be the Texas Rangers?
Because they
Sorry,
were there
guys.
first.
Sorry, guys.
All right, and they will come and arrest you. All right, if you're a Meta Texas Ranger, Chuck Norris will kick the shit out of
Okay,
you.
that is probably true.
And then
Chuck
obviously,
Norris,
Anytime we can get a Chuck Norris reference on the show.
fantastic name
love
drop.
it, love it, love it.
Dynamite drop in money.
Dynamite dropping.
And then obviously the Rangers pulling it out because they're
They're good.
too tough.
With
They're-
Napoli, they're
too
good.
tough until they get to the playoffs and they meet a real team. And then
Yeah, in this division, I mean, Napoli rounds out that team so well. It was exactly what they
I
needed.
I
was
had those
not-
flipped.
Yeah.
Until earlier this week.
Well, I didn't have them flipped because I'm not sold on the Astros because I really don't think they have that good of pitching. I really don't. So, and on mine, I have the A's, obviously, the Angels right there next to them because they can't score runs. And then I have the Astros and Mariners really kind of battling for second place with the Mariners beating them out. Okay, I'm not ready to make the Mariners the team like everybody last year was like, oh, the Mariners are going to win the AL. I mean, even you said they were good enough to do that. And all the analysts were all over the Mariners last year.
I have to admit, I did predict them to go to the World Series
You
in
did.
2015.
You
I
did.
have to own that.
Yeah,
I own these
and
things.
that's fine.
And I
And I
predicted
just-
the Nationals to win.
They're not there. They haven't
that year.
proven to me to do that. I'm not going to pick them. I think the Rangers come out of this division, especially with Napoli.
Let's be
And-
completely honest. After trading King Griffey Jr., I'd be thrilled if the Mariners never won another game.
Hey, easy. Jay Bruner
Ever.
was still on that team. Okay.
Ever.
Jay
Yeah,
Bruner was
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
You ever played Ken Griffey Jr. baseball? Jay Bruner was the man.
Oh, we
JP.
tried to buy it today.
His arm was
You're
incredible. He could throw guys
He
out
could,
at
dude.
third
He could
base.
throw
Oh
guys
yeah.
out. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But no, I got the Rangers winning and then promptly losing in the first round of the playoffs. Period. So we're going to go straight into the viewer question. We have a really good viewer question from Patty from Arkansas. And she wants to know how we feel about the current strike zone changes and the intentional walk rule, which I absolutely hate. But I'm going to let Tommy go first.
Intentional walk rule is absolute bullshit. It's the most asinine thing I have ever heard in my entire life. Throw the damn ball. It is required to put somebody on base. It's a live ball. If it's thrown away, runners advance.
Last
If-
year in the playoffs, there were runs scored because of that.
Exactly. Plus, if you don't throw it enough outside, we've all seen Mr.
Miggy
Baseball.
did it in a couple
you
years
take
ago.
You take a swing. That ball is in play for a reason. That's why you play the game.
If you're a professional pitcher and can't throw an intentional walk 4 times, I mean, really, should you be out there? I've done it. I'll be honest with you. I've done it before, and I've used to pitch, and in games that mattered, I've overthrown the catcher an intentional walk, and it sucks, but it's part of the
there's
game.
A lot to
Terrible
it.
for-
There's a mental
part of the
aspect
game.
to an intentional walk that you're a
Not a lot of people do it.
most people have never done it, and the casual observer has no idea
How hard it can
how
be.
hard it can be and the stress that comes in because the ball is live. You throw it away, there's a mistake made.
There
you
is
don't
a-
throw it far.
You're not
enough
walking
outside.
anybody with nobody on base.
There is a YouTube video of some college baseball game where it walked off, where they walked it off.
probably
because the
me.
pitcher couldn't find, and the pitcher almost overthrew it like
It was
2 other
probably me.
times too. So
It was probably me.
I've seen you throw, so
No,
it was
you
around
haven't.
that. Come to think of it, it was around that time.
It probably
It
was
around
me.
that
And
time.
everybody that knows
He's
me
a right-handed
listening
pitcher,
to this, they
kinda
probably
tall.
are like, that was Fields. I guarantee it was.
now this guy had a full head of hair. We're good.
Oh, I did back then. Right? And you couldn't tell we had a hat on.
It
you
was just
dick.
it was just a little.
We had a
thin.
hat on, you dick. Okay. So I hate the changes, okay? The strike zone changes, it doesn't bother me because the strike zone's a strike zone.
The strike zone changes from
strike
umpire
zone.
to
Yeah,
umpire
it's
anyway.
not gonna
It is-
matter.
How hard is it to go knees to letters, black to black? And I understand why they want to do this. You want to speed up the game, which everybody knows my view on that.
Yeah,
to
we
begin
can
with.
get into that another time. But
But
I mean, it's stupid. Every single.
it's ridiculous.
The strike zone, and you know this, and you get so mad about this when you put your little strike zone tracker up and everything like that. The strike
Yes.
zone is the strike zone per umpire. They can put whatever they want into the thing. It's not going to matter. The umpire determines the strike zone.
But we have seen evidence. The umpire strike zone has dipped over the last 10 or 15 years since the steroid era. I mean, we saw the steroid era. We watch baseball games. I watched baseball games
all
back in the
watched baseball
steroid era.
games.
The strike zone was
What's baseball?
noticeably smaller then, and there are websites out there, and I'd have to do some digging, but I pulled them up, that they show the amount of strikes that were called then was less, and the strike zone, the heat map or whatever it's called, was tighter than it is now. The strike zone is dipped. Now you could argue, well, maybe the strike zone should be moved a little bit, or maybe it should go back up again. By the way, the strike zone was too small during the steroid era. Okay?
It is the job of both the pitcher and the hitter to adjust to a strike zone.
And establish the strike zone. The pitcher
So-
establishes the
As-
strike zone.
and that's the,
really,
I
too.
have no complaints about any strike zone as long as it's consistent for 9 innings.
Absolutely.
So umpires do adjust their strike zones over time. I'm not saying they're all going to do it in 1 year, but it didn't take 1 year for them to adjust it. But it's been gradually going down over time. I'm a believer. Now the intentional walk rule, I really don't. I'll just say I don't care either way. Whatever they want to do, I literally don't care about that. I think it's a waste of time to even be discussing that. Strike zone is what I have a big deal with, though. That's what I have a problem with, because last year home runs spiked. Okay, a lot of suspicion
Did
out
they
there.
spike because the strike zone, or did they spike because everybody doesn't care about strikeouts and they just swing for the fences?
I don't think it spiked because of that, because there were a lot of strikeouts in 2014 and home runs were up astronomically from 2014, where they were at their lowest levels since like 80 something, or since 1992. Okay.
So you're saying that the strike zone changed that much in one season?
No, I'm not saying this. I don't know what changed in 2016. I'm just saying there
I
were a
think pitchers were
ton
trying- yeah.
more home runs last year than there were any other year.
I think we need
And-
more evidence, more time to figure out what's going on with the home run thing. I don't think it's a strike zone.
Okay, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that the strike zone is going to lead to more home runs because what they're doing is
absolutely.
they're raising the strike zone. That will lead to even more home runs. So there will be even more home runs than there were last year.
Well, of course it is. You want it to be a more offensive game so you can make more money on
You do.
on fantasy baseball.
I
You
don't.
do? I don't.
I
want
don't.
it to be a baseball game.
Yes, exactly.
I
Me
don't,
too.
Ever.
It should
I like
be
baseball.
Baseball is a well-rounded sport. There's defense, there's base running, there's pitching, and there is batting, contact hitting.
Yeah, a lot of
and then
people
there's
like
power.
hitting and
Simple
stuff
A
like
lot
that.
of different
Stop
aspects of
pandering
baseball.
to the millennials or the people that don't understand baseball. People that want to watch baseball want to see good pitching. They want to see somebody throw a nasty slider or somebody hit a nasty slider 450 feet. Either or. I don't want to see you changing the rules so that people think it's more engaging. I mean, who cares? If you don't like it, turn to someone
Don't
else.
watch it, right?
Baseball has
You don't
always
like it?
had a
Go watch
dedicated
hockey.
fan base.
And the
Watch
reason
them drop the gloves in hockey. If that's what you want to watch, do it. I don't care. Leave my game the fuck alone.
Yeah,
well, yeah.
basically.
And
Agreed.
Well, okay, yeah, there you go. And I think that has, but one thing that I will say though is, okay, I'll use my mother as an example. My mother's it doesn't care one iota about baseball, okay? But if she's going to go to a baseball game, what does she want to happen? She wants to see the Royals, our hometown team.
Win.
She wants to see them win.
That's it.
all she cares about. She doesn't care about home runs.
No.
The score could be 1-0, it could be 10-9, okay? She wants to see our team win. That's what the vast majority of
She should
casual
back a different
fans
team.
want, okay? So you want to appeal to casual fans, then create a sport where the teams have a greater chance to win, which applause because I think they've done a good job at that. Although I think they could do a better job. But no, this raising the strike zone business and more and more home runs
ridiculous.
while ignoring defense and all that stuff doesn't work.
It's ridiculous.
It's absolutely the worst idea I've ever
I mean,
heard.
yeah, so that's enough of that. I mean, we really don't need to talk about it anymore. Honestly, we don't like that. So appreciate the question, Patty from Arkansas. You're amazing.
Good question,
Thank
though. You got us on a rant.
Thank you for hitting us up on the email, letting us know what's going on. That's going to be the show for today. We appreciate everybody listening. Please, again, hit us up on comments. Let us know what you think about everything, especially the Hall of Fame, AL West, what you think about the strike zone changes, everything like that. Hit us up on Twitter at JNC Baseball Show, or send us an email, jncbaseballofficial@gmail. We'd love to hear everything you have to say, and we will see you next time.
That's it. Sweet.
We good?
Guys, that was good.
Boom!
Yeah, that was it, baby.
Now we
Yeah.
got another one.
We got another one. Yeah.
After I piss.
And I need some more beer.
God damn it. Apparently 2 beers. Shoo.
He was laughing so hard.
By the way, we're being grossly underprepared.